All right, welcome back. We're still on page 15. Hopefully you tried these A through B. I'm going to go ahead and go through them. I've listed off a list of steps. So step 1, you're always going to add 100% to your rate, and then you'll convert that to a decimal. Then you'll raise whatever you've gotten to the t power. Then I have this little like thought bubble thing happening because this is where it depends on which way we're converting. Are we going from annually to monthly? Or are we going from monthly to annually? So we're going to have to figure out how to re-express our exponents. And then we'll simplify using a calculator, convert back to a percent, and subtract off our 100%. So let's get to it. This is page 15, and we're on the try these A. So we're converting an annual rate of 4.2% to a monthly rate of some percent. All right, so step 1 is we're going to take our 4.2% and we're going to add 100% to it. So 100% plus 4.2% gives me 104.2%. Now we're going to convert this percent to a decimal, and remember to do that we move our decimal 2 places to the left. So that's 1.042. And next we're going to raise it to the t power. I always like using the letter t for time. Okay, next this is where my thought bubble happens. So I'm thinking off to the side. I have that t represents 1 year. But we're going to monthly. So I need it to be 12 months, so 12t. So I'm going to rewrite this as 1.042 to the 12t. Because there are 12 months in a year. Now, to keep my expression, or both sides of my equations balanced, I need to decide what value needs to go here. So I'm saying t is equal to what times 12t, which would be 1 over 12. My 12s would cancel out. So I need to put a 1/12 right here. Right, that was my thought bubble portion. Now we're going to use a calculator to simplify what's in the parentheses. So I have 1.042, and I'm raising that to the 1/12 power. Whenever you are raising to a fractional power, you need to use parentheses. That gives me 1.03434. 3434 to the 12t power. My next step is to convert this to a percent. So this time I'll move my decimal back the other direction, which is 100.3434%. And then I'm supposed to subtract off 100%, which gives me 0.3434%. This is my monthly rate, 0.3434%. All right, let's try another one. So B, it says we're going from an annual rate, B, so you should have these steps listed on your page. So if they go off the camera now, we're not going to worry about it. I'll refer back to them at times. All right, so B is an annual rate of 6.4% to a quarterly rate of blank percent. All right, so step 1, we're going to take 100% and we're going to add it to 6.4%, which gives me 106.4%. I will convert this to a decimal. That's step 2. So this would give me 1.064, and I'm going to raise that to the t power. Next, I have to do my thought bubble portion. How many quarters are in a year? There are 4 quarters in a year. There's 4 quarters in anything. That's the definition of a quarter. So t is a year, but I want 4t because there are 4 quarters per year. So I'm going to have to raise this to the 4t power. So now I'm thinking 1.064, right? How do I keep these two sides of the equation balanced? T times what is equal to 4t? which is 1/4. So I'm going to raise this to the 1/4 power. Now I'll use my calculator to simplify. So I have 1.064 raised to the 1/4 power, right? Which is 1.01563. So this is 1.01563 to the 4t power. My next step is that I'll convert this back to a decimal. So I'll move my decimal 1 2 times. That gives me 101.563%. And I'll subtract 100% from it. And I get 1.563%. So this is 1.563 is my quarterly rate. All right, we're going to do this again for letter C and D. Okay, letter C says that we have an annual rate of 0.224. Oh, wrong one. An annual rate, that's D, of 1.5%. And we're converting that to a decade rate of blank percent. So we have an annual rate of 1.56%, and we're converting that to a decade rate. So step 1 is that we're going to add 100% to this. So we'll have 100% plus 1.5%, which is equal to 101.5%. We'll convert this to a decimal by moving our decimal place 1 2 places to the left. So this is 1.015, and then we will raise it to the t power. Okay, now off to the side in our thought bubble. 1 year is 1/10 of a decade. So my exponent needs to be 1/10 of t. And then to keep these two equations balanced, t is what times 1/10 t, which is 10. The 10s would cancel. So I need this to be 1.015 to the 10th power. When I raise those two, all right, they'll multiply and I'll have t left. Now, next we're going to use our calculator to simplify. So we're going to simplify 1.015 up to the 10th power, which gives me 1.16054. So this is 1.16054 to the 1/10th t. Next, I'll convert this back to a percent by moving my decimal 1 2 places. This is 116.054%. And then I will subtract 100%. That gives me 16.054%. That is my decade rate, 16.054%. Now, I hope that at this point you're starting to notice that when you convert from an annual rate to something smaller, your interest rate should shrink or be less. When you convert from an annual rate to something larger, like a decade, your interest rate should be larger. Okay, our last one is an annual rate, D, an annual rate of 0.224% to a generation rate of blank percent. Now, they tell us a generation is 20 years. Good thing, because I did not know that a generation was 20 years. So again, we're going from an annual rate to a generational rate. Step 1, add 100% to our rate. So 100% plus 0.224% is equal to 100.224%. Next, we'll convert this into a decimal by moving 1 2 places. That's 1.00224. And then we will raise it to the t power is equal to, right now here's my thought bubble. I have to think to myself, right, t is 1/20th of a generation. So this will be to the 1 over 20t power 1.00224. And so t is equal to what times 1 over 20t? So this must be a 20 to keep these exponents balanced. So this will be 20. Now we're going to use our calculator to evaluate 1.00224 up to the 20th power. And we get 1.045766 to the 1 over 20t. Now that we've done that, we will convert back to a percent. So I'll move my decimal place 2 times. I get 104.5766%. And then I'll subtract off my 100%, which gives me 4.5766%. And that is my generational rate, 4.5766%. All right, hopefully these are starting to get a little easier. We have to keep track of our decimal and be very cautious not to make any errors. At this point, you should stop and do the check your understanding on page 15. I'm going to go ahead and do those check your understanding on a separate sheet of paper, but you should pause and try each of these. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. So consider the annual interest rate of, so I've got an annual rate of 5.2%. And on A, I'm converting this to a monthly rate of blank percent. It should get smaller. So following our steps, we're going to add 100% to 5.2%, which gives me 105.2%. I'm going to convert that to a decimal. This is a 1.052. Raise it to the t power. And then in my thought bubble, right, I'm going from yearly to monthly. So it's going to be 1.052 to the 12t, because there are 12 months per year. And then t is equal to what times 12t, which is 1/12. So I need to put my 1/12 inside the parentheses. I'll use my calculator to evaluate that. That's 1.052 to the 1/12th power, which gives me 1.00423 to the 12t. I'll move this back into a percent by moving my decimal 2 places. It's 100.423%. And I'll subtract off 100%, which gives me 0.423%. So this would be 0.423%. And indeed, it is much smaller. All right, next, we're doing the same interest rate, but we're converting to a semi-annual. So semi-annual means twice a year, so that you know. So again, semi-annual is twice a year. And we're looking for our semi-annual rate. All right, so we're always going to do the same thing. We're going to add 100% to 5.2%. This gives me 105.2%. Convert that back to a decimal. That is 1.052 to the t power is equal to 1.052 to the, okay, so off to the side, I'm going from yearly to semi-annually, which means that t is going to equal something to the 2t power, because this happens twice a year. And so that would be 1/2. On my calculator, I'll take 1.052, I'll raise it to the 1/2 power, which gives me 1.02567 to the 2t. Convert this back to a percent by moving my decimal place 2 places. That's 102.567%. Subtract off my 100% interest rate again, which gives me 2.567%. So this is 2.567%. All right, next, the daily interest rate. All right, daily interest rate. I'm going to try to squeeze it in here, guys. So I'm starting off with the same, but we're looking for the daily rate. So 100% plus 5.2% is equal to 105.2%. Turning that to 1.052 as a decimal to the t power, my thought bubble, I'm going from yearly to daily. So that means that 1 year is, or 1 day is 365, 1 year is 365 days, excuse me. So my t is going to have to equal something 365t. So this is 1.052 to the 365t. And so to keep this balanced, I would have to raise it to the 1 over 365. 1 over 365. And now in your calculator, 1.052 up to the 1 over 365 is 1.0001389, rounding it to the 365t. Converting this back to a decimal would be 100, right? Move your decimal point 2 places. Be careful, 0.01389%. Subtract off the 100%, which gives me 0.01389%. So 0.01389%. All right, those are all of the those are the check your understanding number 4. Let's look at number 5. So it says a population is growing at an annual rate of 1.2%. Find the rate of growth per decade. So number 5, the annual rate is 1.2%, and we're converting to the growth rate per decade, the decade rate of some percent. So recall on these 3, since we were going to something smaller than a year, our interest rate was getting smaller. Here we're going to something larger than a year, right, a decade. So we should have a higher growth rate. So step 1, we're going to add 100%. So 100% plus 1.2% gives me 101.2%. We're going to convert that to 1.012. We're going to raise it to the t power. And then I hope the thought bubble is getting clearer for you. I know that I'm going to have, this is going to be 1 year is 1/10 of a decade. So hopefully this is, you're seeing that pattern, right? Outside and inside, what you need to be raising to. So we're thinking t is equal to what times 1/10 t, which would be 10. So it's going to be to the 10th power. So we're going to use our calculators to evaluate that. 1.012 up to the 10th power, which is 1.2669 to the 1/10 t. Convert that back to a percentage by moving our decimal 2 places. That's 126 point, I'm sorry, I missed a 1 right here. It's 1126, 1.12669. All right, so that's 112.669%. We're going to subtract off 100%, which gives us 12.669%. So 12.669% is our decade rate. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the notes. Remember, you should have paused anywhere that you have questions. Make sure you ask me in class. I will help you with it. And have a great day. Bye-bye.